It's like a constant weight on my chest, and it doesn't matter if I wake up at 6 a.m. or noon, the pressure is always there, waiting for me. The moment I open my eyes, I'm aware of it, the bills piling up, the rent due next week, the food I'll have to figure out how to stretch, and the inevitable math I'll have to do when I check my bank account. I'm 24, and somehow, it feels like I've been drowning in this financial mess for years. I was raised to believe that if I worked hard enough, I could make a life for myself. But what they don't tell you is that the harder you work, the more the system finds ways to drain you. I guess I didn't expect this feeling of constantly being behind. This feeling of always hustling, always trying to catch up, but never quite reaching the finish line. It's been a long year. My salary is the same as it was when I first got this job out of college, but everything around me has become more expensive. Gas prices have climbed higher, groceries cost an arm and a leg, and rent? That's been a joke. My apartment used to feel like a safe space, but now it feels like an anchor, tied to me by the numbers on the lease that keep growing, faster than my paycheck can keep up. Every time I look at the rent bill, I think about the dream of owning my own place, how far away that seems now. I thought by now I'd have more to show for myself. I thought I'd be able to take a vacation. I thought I'd be able to buy a new pair of shoes that don't have holes in them. I thought I'd be able to, live without feeling like I'm one wrong turn away from disaster. When I was younger, I imagined that being an adult meant you'd be able to make choices. Real choices. But now, I feel like every decision I make is a trade-off. Do I buy food that'll last the week or do I fill up my gas tank? Should I put my last $50 toward the electric bill or save it in case something unexpected comes up? Should I go out with my friends, even though I'll have to use my credit card because I can't afford it? The worst part is that it's not like I'm doing anything wrong. I'm working. I'm trying. But it feels like the system is rigged to keep me in place, a rat in a wheel running faster and faster but getting nowhere. When I talk to my parents, they say things like, "When I was your age, I didn't have it this tough." I know they mean well, but it doesn't help. It's hard to hear about how things were better when they were young, knowing that it's not just hard now, it's different. It feels like the whole world has changed, and I'm just stuck in this game where I never get ahead. I've been cutting back in ways I never imagined I'd have to. I used to get takeout maybe once a week. Now, I eat frozen meals and leftovers, stretching them for days. I don't go out much anymore. I stopped seeing movies in theaters, stopped getting coffee at cafes, stopped buying anything that wasn't essential. I try to make the most of what I have, but I can't help but feel that my life is shrinking. It's like I'm living in a tiny box, where every corner is a reminder of what I can't afford, of what I had to give up to stay afloat. There's a low-level anxiety that hums constantly in the back of my mind. I've gotten so used to it that sometimes I forget it's even there, but it always finds a way to remind me. Every time I get an email from my bank or see an alert about my credit card, my heart skips a beat. I don't think I've felt true relaxation in months. Even when I'm not actively stressing about money, I'm always thinking about it. Always wondering if this month will be the one that finally breaks me. At night, when the house is quiet, the full weight of it all settles in. I dream about what I could have if I just had more. More money. More time. More freedom. I think about the vacations I wanted to take, going to the beach, visiting Europe, seeing the world outside of the four walls of my apartment. I think about how I used to imagine myself living in a bigger place, maybe with a roommate, or even alone. I imagined buying nice things, clothes that I actually wanted, not just the ones I had to buy because they were on sale or the last ones in my size. But now, I've started to put those dreams on the shelf. It's not that I've given up on them, it's more like I've learned to push them aside for the time being. It's survival, really. I try to remind myself that there's a future, that eventually I'll get to a place where I can breathe a little easier. But then I read about inflation or hear about the rising cost of living, and it makes me wonder if that future is even possible. Sometimes, I let myself imagine a different life. A life where I don't have to worry about the next bill, a life where I'm not always scraping by. I imagine taking long weekends, not having to check my bank account before I leave the house, living somewhere I'm proud of. But those are just dreams now. The reality is that I'm caught in a cycle that keeps repeating, and I don't know how to break it. It's hard to talk about this with anyone. People like to say, "You'll get through it. It's just a phase." But when you're in it, it doesn't feel like a phase. It feels like a never-ending grind. I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this, that so many people are in the same boat. It's cold comfort, though. It doesn't change the way I feel when I look at my bank balance and see that there's just not enough. I cope the best I can. I'm trying to stay optimistic, though I know deep down that this pressure is slowly eating away at me. I've started journaling again, just to get it all out. I talk to my friends, though I feel guilty when I vent to them, as if they don't have their own problems. Sometimes, I cry when I'm alone in my apartment, just letting the weight of everything wash over me. I don't even know if it helps, but it feels like something I need to do. I've learned to hold on to small moments of joy, like when I make it through a whole week without needing to dip into my savings, or when I manage to pay my rent without being late. It's not much, but it's something. It's a sign that I'm still afloat. That I haven't completely lost the fight yet. I try not to think about my future too much anymore, because when I do, the anxiety feels like it'll swallow me whole. Instead, I try to focus on the present, the little things I can control, like cooking dinner without burning it or finally catching up on sleep. I know I'll keep pushing through. But it's hard, and it's getting harder. It's hard to dream when you're stuck in the grind. I wish I had a clearer path, a roadmap to guide me to a better place. But right now, all I have are the dreams I keep locked away, waiting for a day that feels like it's never coming. For now, I survive. For now, I keep moving forward, one small step at a time. But I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending it's enough. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. I wake up to the sound of my alarm clock blaring, but it's not just any morning. It's a morning steeped in a kind of dread that only grows stronger the longer I'm awake. I've been living this way for what feels like too long, financially stuck, emotionally drained, and constantly overwhelmed by a weight I can't shake off. I roll out of bed and check my bank balance first thing, like I do every day. It's a reflex now, like brushing my teeth. Some days, it feels like a slap in the face. Today, it's no different. Another $50 gone from my account, another few days until payday, and yet there's nothing to feel good about. The balance is barely enough to cover what I need to survive, let alone what I hope to achieve. I get up, shuffle into the kitchen, and stand in front of the fridge, trying to decide whether I can afford a cup of coffee. It's stupid, really, to have to think about something so simple. But that's the reality. I don't have a lot of options. A cup of coffee is a small luxury, one I don't allow myself unless I'm sure I can make it stretch. I open the cabinet and take out the cheap instant coffee, the kind that's as much a survival tool as a drink. It's bitter, but it works. The buzz I need to get through another day. I've been in this financial cycle for over a year now. I graduated with hopes, dreams, big ones, actually. I thought I would have more by now. I thought the world was my oyster, and I was just waiting for the right time to pop it open. I did all the right things, I got a degree, I moved to the city, I worked hard at a job I thought would lead to something more. But here I am, a 26-year-old working in customer service, with a paycheck that just about covers rent, utilities, groceries, and a few odds and ends. Anything beyond that is a stretch. Anything beyond that is a dream. There was a time when I thought I would save. You know, for a rainy day, or a vacation, or even something as simple as a nice dinner out. But I haven't been able to save. Every time I think I'm getting ahead, something comes up. The car breaks down. My phone bill goes up. The rent increases. And I'm back at square one. It's like the universe has decided to make sure I can never get out from under this pile of bills, and I'm left feeling more and more suffocated every month. Some days, I find myself zoning out at work, staring at my computer screen, wondering if this is what my life will be. Staring at the little number in my bank account, feeling it tick down every time I spend even a little bit. The thing is, it's not that I'm being reckless. I'm being responsible. I'm just being crushed under the weight of everything getting more expensive faster than I can keep up. Everything is getting more expensive, the groceries, the rent, even just going out with friends. And somehow, my income hasn't moved much in the past few years. It feels like I'm standing on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, and I can't keep up with it anymore. I don't talk about this much. At least, not with anyone close to me. I don't want to be the person who constantly complains, who sounds ungrateful for the job I have or the roof over my head. Everyone else seems to be doing fine, at least on the outside. They're getting promoted, buying new things, living their lives. I'm not in a place where I can comfortably talk about how much it stings when I hear someone else talk about their recent trip to Europe or their new car. I'm not in a place where I can admit that I've been avoiding social gatherings because I can't afford them. I smile and nod when people talk about their successes, but inside, it's hard to ignore the bitterness. I used to have dreams of what I would do once I had some money to play with. Maybe I'd go back to school for a master's degree. Maybe I'd take a few months off to travel. Maybe I'd just have a little breathing room to relax, to not be in constant fear of the next bill or the next emergency. But those dreams feel like they belong to a different version of me now. Someone with more time, more freedom, and more money. Someone who isn't waking up in a cold sweat every few days, wondering how the hell they're going to pay for the next thing. It's exhausting, living like this. And it's lonely. There's a deep isolation that comes with financial pressure that no one really talks about. You can't exactly tell people that you can't hang out because you don't have enough for a drink, or that you can't buy that cute new shirt because you have to save for your rent. It's embarrassing to admit, and that's why I keep it all inside. I've learned to fake it, to act like everything is fine, even when I'm drowning. But sometimes, the loneliness and the constant pressure catch up with me. I'll be lying in bed at night, thinking about how all my plans for the future feel like they're slipping away. I'll think about how much longer I can keep pretending that everything is okay, how much longer I can keep up the act. Some days, it feels like I'm running out of options. I've had to put so many dreams on hold. I don't even know who I was before all of this. Who was I before the weight of financial insecurity became my constant companion? I want to believe that I'm more than my bank balance, but sometimes it feels impossible to separate the two. My financial situation has seeped into every corner of my life, and it's affecting everything: my self-worth, my relationships, my happiness. I can't even plan for the future without feeling like I'm walking on a tightrope, one small misstep away from falling into chaos. The scariest part is that I don't know when or if it's going to get better. I keep telling myself that things will change once I get that promotion, or once I find another job, or once I get my foot in the door somewhere that will finally pay me what I'm worth. But the longer I wait for that to happen, the more I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. The economy keeps changing, everything keeps rising in price, and I'm just trying to keep up. I try to stay hopeful, even if it's hard. Sometimes I think about the future, about how things will one day be different. Maybe I'll get a break, or maybe I'll find a way out of this cycle. But most days, I just try to make it through the next few hours without feeling like I'm sinking further into a hole. I hold on to the idea that, one day, I'll be able to breathe again. But for now, it feels like I'm just getting through the motions. Sometimes, it's just enough to get through the day. But it's hard to keep telling yourself that it's enough when you're constantly reminded that you're not where you thought you'd be. Somewhere in the back of my mind, there's still that young version of me, full of dreams, hopes, and aspirations. But I don't know where she went, or how to bring her back. Maybe she'll come back when I have enough. Maybe, just maybe, I'll get to live a life where my paycheck covers everything, and I can finally chase those dreams again. For now, though, I just have to make it through today. That's all I can do. And some days, that feels like the best I can hope for. I wake up to the same grind every day, but today feels heavier. Maybe it's because the rent's due next week, and I don't even know where that money is going to come from. I stare at the ceiling, trying to ignore the rising pressure in my chest, the nagging thought that I've reached the point where I might not make it through another month without dipping into savings. But the thing is, the savings are almost gone, too. So, what's next? I don't even want to think about it. I roll out of bed and grab my phone, scrolling through emails. Bills. Always bills. I haven't even looked at my bank account yet, and I'm already tired. It's the same routine every month, balancing the numbers like they're a puzzle I'm always one piece short of solving. My rent, my student loan payment, car insurance, credit card debt, they all add up, and I haven't even factored in groceries or gas for the week. Some days, I feel like I'm drowning in all of it. My friends and I joke about the cost of everything these days. The economy's just getting worse, they say, but we laugh it off like it's a shared joke that none of us can really escape. The prices at the grocery store are the same for everyone, but that doesn't make it feel any better when I have to stand there, scanning the items in my cart and making hard choices. Is it worth it to buy the avocado today, or should I go for the cheaper lettuce? A few bucks here and there feel like nothing, but it adds up. And if you keep doing that over time, suddenly you're looking at $200 in 1 week just to eat and survive. I've had to cancel plans more times than I can count. Let's go out tonight, someone will text, and I just smile and pretend like I'm not calculating how much of a dent in my budget that $40 dinner will make. Most nights, I stay in. And even when I do go out, I spend the whole time trying to ignore the voice in my head that's worrying about how much I've spent. It feels like I'm trapped in a cycle. I work hard every day, but I can't get ahead, and I'm so tired of feeling like I'm just barely surviving. It's funny how much I used to dream. When I was younger, I imagined a life where I'd have the freedom to travel, to eat at fancy restaurants, to buy whatever I wanted without second-guessing myself. I remember scrolling through Instagram, seeing friends of friends posting from Europe or New York, feeling that pang of jealousy that would sink deep into my gut. They all seem to have figured it out, living their best lives while I'm here trying to keep the lights on and make rent every month. My family doesn't know how bad it's gotten. I keep it to myself because I don't want to worry them. They've always been supportive, but there's only so much they can do, and I don't want to add to their burdens. Besides, what could they say? Just get a better job? I already have a full-time job. It's not glamorous, but it's something. I've applied to dozens of other jobs in the past year, but every time I hear back, it's with the same tired line, "We're looking for someone with more experience." What do they expect me to do? Keep working in this one, barely paying my bills until I can magically gain more experience that's hard to come by when no one will hire me? Some days, I don't know if I can keep going like this. I've started waking up earlier to stretch every dollar I have, making sure that if I'm going to splurge on anything, maybe a coffee from that local cafe I love, then I have to sacrifice something else. Maybe it's skipping a meal, maybe it's holding off on buying a new pair of shoes I desperately need, or maybe it's just another round of taking a deep breath and telling myself it'll be okay. But deep down, I'm not sure it will be. And that's the most terrifying part. I can't even tell you the last time I went on vacation. The thought of spending money on something that doesn't directly contribute to keeping me alive feels irresponsible, even though I know I need a break. I used to daydream about traveling, going to places I'd never been, experiencing things that seemed so far out of reach. But every dream I've had feels like it's slipping further and further away. The reality of bills, deadlines, and a stagnant paycheck has slowly chipped away at the person I used to be, the person who had hopes, who wanted to experience life fully, instead of just survive it. I try to tell myself that I'm lucky. I'm healthy, I have a job, and I have friends who support me, even if they don't fully understand. But sometimes, that doesn't feel like enough. Sometimes it feels like I'm being left behind, that everyone around me is progressing and I'm just stuck in this constant loop of paying bills and hoping things get better. And when things don't improve, I start to wonder, how much longer can I keep doing this? How much longer can I make ends meet before it all falls apart? I try to focus on the little things that make me happy. I walk around the city when I can, enjoying the free moments of peace, even if I'm not buying anything. I write in a journal sometimes, jotting down whatever random thought comes to mind. I go to the gym, even though I often feel guilty for spending that $15 a month on something that feels like a luxury. But it helps, I guess. It clears my mind for an hour, and maybe that's worth it. But it's hard not to think about the future. I still have dreams, even though they feel less attainable with each passing month. I want to buy a house someday, but how? How can I possibly save up for a down payment when rent keeps going up, gas keeps rising, and the costs of everything else are outpacing my income? I used to think that if I just worked hard enough, I could make it happen. But now I'm not so sure. The worst part is that I don't feel like I'm alone in this. I know so many people around my age who are going through the same thing, and we all feel like we're treading water, struggling just to keep our heads above the surface. The pressure builds up and up, until you can't even remember what it feels like to have space to breathe. So, I keep pushing forward, doing what I can to scrape by, hoping that one day I'll be able to look back and say it was worth it. But deep down, I know the truth, this is my reality right now. And I just have to keep going, because what else is there to do? Sometimes, though, I wonder if this is all there is. And that's the most frightening thought of all. I wake up to the familiar sound of my phone alarm blaring, its harsh tone pulling me from sleep. My eyes flutter open, and the first thing I do is check the time, 7:15 a.m. It's later than I'd like. I reach over to grab my phone, scroll through the messages, and start my daily ritual, checking my bank account. Every day, it's like this, a little flutter of dread in my chest, a tightening of my throat. I don't know why I do it to myself, why I can't just give it a break and let my day unfold without this anxious check-in, but I can't help it. The numbers stare back at me, a stark reminder of my reality. I've got a bit more than $300 in my checking account. That's supposed to last me for the next 2 weeks. A little over $300. It feels like the walls are closing in. I used to think I'd have it all figured out by now. I thought I'd be past this stage of just barely scraping by, that maybe by the time I hit 25, I'd be thriving, or at least stable. Instead, every month feels like I'm running in place, trying to catch up with an economy that's moving faster than I am. The rent's due next week. That's $200, a chunk that eats up most of what's left of my paycheck every month. The rest goes to groceries, gas, student loans, and the little things I can't escape, like utilities and phone bills. I've cut back on everything. No more nights out, no more impulse buys. I try to tell myself that I'm lucky to even have a job, even if it doesn't pay much. I work as a marketing assistant at a small company, and while I don't hate it, it's not exactly my dream job. The pay is low, and the work feels uninspiring. But I show up every day, clocking in and out like a cog in a machine, hoping that maybe one day, I'll break free from the cycle. But even the thought of one day feels so distant. The years are passing by faster than I expected. I'm stuck in this trap, where I have dreams, yes, but they feel as though they're constantly pushed further out of reach. Like every time I try to take a step forward, I trip over something. Maybe it's a surprise expense or a price hike that leaves me scrambling to cover the basics. I've stopped thinking about big dreams. Things like buying a house or traveling the world or even just getting to a point where I feel comfortable financially. These days, my dreams are smaller, quieter, survival is the name of the game. Will I make rent this month? Will I be able to pay the gas bill and not fall behind? Can I afford to fill up my car this week, or will I have to wait until next payday? That's my reality now, day in and day out. Some days it feels like I'm trapped in a system that's designed to keep me right here, forever treading water. Expenses keep growing, while my income stays stagnant. I think about how I've had to scale back everything I once thought was normal. A coffee shop visit feels like a luxury. I used to go out for drinks with friends, but now I make excuses, or I just say I'm busy. I tell myself it's better that way, but sometimes I wonder if I'm just cutting off pieces of my life, bit by bit, until I don't even recognize who I am anymore. I don't go to the gym anymore. I used to love working out, but the membership fee felt like something I couldn't justify anymore. Instead, I take walks around the neighborhood when I can, trying to get some exercise without spending a dime. The hardest part is the feeling that nothing will ever change. Even though I'm working hard, I'm not moving forward. And that's exhausting. The weight of it all keeps me up at night, even when I don't want to admit it. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long this will go on. When will things get better? Will they ever get better? There are moments when it hits me so hard that I feel like I can't breathe, moments when I realize how little I have to show for all the hours I've worked, all the sacrifices I've made. I see people on social media talking about their vacations, their new clothes, their cute new apartment. And all I can think is, how? How do they afford this? Is there something I'm missing, some secret they know that I don't? But that's the thing, isn't it? We're all playing the same game, all trying to keep up, pretending like we have it all together. And for what? So we can impress people we barely know? So we can keep up with a system that doesn't care about us? I don't know anymore. The world keeps spinning, and I keep running in place, desperately trying to stay afloat. I've had to put my dreams on hold, too. The big ones, the ones that once filled me with hope, are now distant fantasies that feel too far out of reach. I wanted to move to a new city, one where I could breathe and start fresh, but that takes money I don't have. I wanted to start my own business, something I could pour my heart into, but that requires a risk I'm not ready to take when I can't even pay my rent on time. I wanted to get a dog, to have that companion that would give me something to care for, but how could I possibly take on another responsibility when I can barely care for myself? Instead, I try to remind myself of the small victories. The moments when I get through a tough week without falling into panic, the days when I manage to cook a healthy meal instead of just grabbing something quick and cheap. I tell myself that even though things are hard, I'm doing my best. But those small victories don't always feel like enough. I've had to learn how to cope with the pressure, even if it's in unhealthy ways sometimes. There's the occasional binge-watch session, staying up late watching shows I don't even care about, just to distract myself. There's the quiet scrolling through discount websites, trying to justify buying something, anything, that feels like a treat. And there's the guilt that comes with it, the feeling that I'm just making it worse, but not knowing how to stop. And then there's the fear. The fear that I'll always feel this way, that I'll never escape the cycle of scarcity and stress. I don't want to live like this forever. I want more than just getting by. But how? Where do I start? There's a part of me that wants to believe in the future, to hold on to some hope that maybe, just maybe, things will get better. But the longer I'm in this, the harder it is to keep that hope alive. I keep telling myself that if I work hard enough, I'll make it. But I wonder if hard work is enough anymore. I don't know. All I know is that today, I'll wake up, check my bank account, and try to make it through the day. I'll try to smile and pretend like it's all okay. I'll keep pushing forward, because what else can I do? But the weight of it all sits heavy in my chest, and I wonder if I'll ever get to a point where I can breathe again, where the future isn't just a constant pressure, but something I can look forward to. Until then, I'll keep going, one step at a time, even when it feels like I'm stuck in the same place. I'll hold on to the small victories, even if they don't feel like enough. Because in this world, that's all I can do. I wake up every morning to the sound of my alarm, a buzzing, relentless reminder that I'm not where I want to be. At 24, I expected more security, more freedom, more joy, but I've only come to realize how much my life is shaped by the invisible hand of financial pressure. I roll out of bed, immediately feeling the weight of another day spent chasing after something that feels just beyond reach. I live in a small apartment in the city, one of those places where the walls are thin, and the floors creak with every step, but it's all I can afford. My rent eats up nearly half my monthly income, and even then, I sometimes wonder if it's worth it. My landlord's kind of a joke, but the rent is competitive for this part of town, and it's close enough to work that I don't have to deal with a commute. That's a win, right? It's funny how I keep convincing myself that these little compromises, living in a cramped space, not buying new clothes, cutting out the occasional coffee shop splurge, are manageable. They're survival tactics. But they're also slowly eroding the person I thought I would be by now. I open my bank app as I sip my coffee, trying to mentally prepare myself for the balance I'm going to see. Every day is a small act of hope, like maybe today will be the day I don't have to worry about money. But then I see it. My paycheck, already depleted by bills, rent, student loans, and groceries. It's always a little less than I need and a little more than I'm willing to admit I'm behind on. When I started my first full-time job, I had dreams. Big ones. I imagined traveling, buying things I actually liked, maybe even saving for a house or investing in something that would build long-term wealth. But the economic environment, man, it's relentless. Prices keep rising, but my salary is still what it was when I first signed that contract. Every month, it feels like there's another expense: groceries, utilities, unexpected fees, medical bills that I never saw coming. And when I think about saving, the idea feels laughable. I'm trapped in this cycle, and I can feel myself suffocating in it. I try to be optimistic. There's always that lingering hope that somehow, I'll catch a break. That maybe my hard work will lead to a promotion, or that I'll find a second job or side hustle that brings in extra cash. But the truth is, the competition is fierce, and even when I work overtime, the extra money never seems to go far enough. It's a strange, frustrating kind of exhaustion, working harder but not seeing the progress. The hours pile up, but the outcome feels the same. At the end of the month, there's always too much month left for my paycheck to cover. My friends don't seem to understand. They say I should just keep going or invest in myself, like it's that simple. But how am I supposed to invest in myself when I can barely cover the basics? They talk about weekend trips to places I can't afford, new tech gadgets I'll never buy, or spontaneous dinners out that I'd love to join, but I can't. Every dollar counts. Sometimes, I make excuses to not hang out, to not go out. It's easier than admitting that I'm stuck, that I'm watching my life pass by without the chance to live it the way I'd dreamed. I feel guilty about it sometimes. Like I'm failing. Like I should be able to figure this out. But every time I think I'm taking a step forward, whether it's trying to save a little or cutting down on expenses, it feels like the system pushes me back 2 steps. And that's what it is, right? A system. A system that's built for the rich to stay rich, and the rest of us to keep working for the scraps. It's the constant feeling of being behind. There's always something, an old medical bill, a new tax, a surprise expense that I didn't see coming. It feels like no matter how much I work, no matter how much I cut back, I'm never going to catch up. I can't even think about buying a car right now, let alone a home. The prices are out of control. I keep hearing about the housing market, how young people like me will never be able to own anything. And I can't help but feel like they're right. It's discouraging, and it makes me question if I'll ever be able to live a life that feels abundant, that feels fulfilling. Sometimes I let myself imagine a future where I've made it out of this cycle. I see myself traveling to places I've always wanted to go, having dinner with people I love, feeling free to spend without the weight of worry pressing down. But when I snap back to reality, I realize that these dreams feel so far away. Maybe one day, when I've paid off my student loans or finally earned a raise, I can afford some of that. But right now, the future feels like it's on pause. Every day, the same routine, just trying to make ends meet. I try to be patient with myself, though. I remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. I remind myself that it's okay to take things slow, even if that means postponing my bigger dreams. I have to let go of the idea that everything should happen now. That's something I've learned, life isn't a race. But it's hard not to feel like I'm losing. I cope by talking about it sometimes, trying to be honest with the few people I trust. And when that doesn't help, I lean on my music or get lost in a good book, pretending for just a few hours that I'm somewhere else. That's my escape. Or I go for walks, and just breathe. In those moments, I feel like maybe there's more to life than money. But then I remember that, in this world, money is survival. And I need it to move forward. It's tough to admit that I feel stuck, that I'm struggling with something I can't seem to solve. But I know I'm not alone in this. So many others are living with this weight, trying to make their dreams a reality in a world where the rules seem rigged. I just want something to change. I want the space to breathe, to grow, to not feel like I'm drowning in debt and the constant pull of financial obligations. I hold on to small moments of hope. Maybe I'll get that raise. Maybe the cost of living will slow down. Maybe one day, I'll have enough to not just survive, but to live. But for now, I'll keep putting one foot in front of the other, taking it day by day, trying to make it to the next paycheck. Hoping that someday, the weight will lift and the pressure won't feel so heavy. But that's all I have right now, hope, and a quiet, stubborn belief that someday, I'll get there. It's funny how much a single number can hold weight in a life. A bank balance, a rent check, a paycheck, all of them carry so much more than their face value. They dictate the choices you make, the things you feel like you have to give up, the moments when you feel completely and utterly trapped in this cycle you never quite asked for. I've always been told I should be grateful for what I have, and I am. I know that. I know there are people in far worse situations. But some days, it feels like the weight of everything is suffocating me. I'm 26, and I feel like I'm already drowning. I wake up early, before the sun even peeks through the blinds. There's something about being awake before the world that makes me feel like I'm in control, even if I'm not. The mornings are when I try to trick myself into believing that maybe today will be different. Maybe I'll catch a break. But by the time I walk into the kitchen, pour my coffee, and see the bills stacked on the counter, I remember that nothing's changed. The credit card statement, the rent due in a week, the reminder that my car insurance needs to be paid, it's all real. It all demands attention, and it all needs to be paid in full. I make just enough to survive. That's the tricky part. There's no excess, no cushion. I'm not broke enough to qualify for assistance, but I'm not stable enough to feel comfortable. Every month, I feel like I'm just keeping my head above water, waiting for the tide to pull me under. I work a full-time job in marketing, which on paper is supposed to be a solid career. But when you live in a city like this, where the cost of living keeps rising while wages stagnate, even a decent salary doesn't stretch as far as it used to. I've had to cut back on almost everything, no more takeout coffee, no more impromptu trips, no more nights out with friends unless I can find a deal or split the bill down to the penny. There are weeks when I feel like my entire existence revolves around numbers. How much is left on the rent after this paycheck? How much can I spend on groceries? Can I afford that birthday gift for my friend, or should I skip it this year? Is that extra hour of overtime worth it, or should I spend the time catching up on sleep? These questions are exhausting. But they're constant. It doesn't help that my friends don't seem to understand. They're getting promotions, traveling to exotic places, buying homes, things I can't even fathom. I try not to compare myself to them, but sometimes it's hard not to. When I was younger, I dreamed about this kind of life I'd be building in my 20s. I imagined being in a position where I could afford to take trips with friends, eat out without guilt, and not constantly worry about the next paycheck. Instead, I find myself scrolling through social media, looking at photos of people living the life I thought I'd have by now, and feeling a mix of jealousy and guilt. The worst part is, I know I'm not the only one. The world seems to be built for people who already have money, or at least the illusion of it. Everyone's looking for the next big thing, the next opportunity, but it feels like I'm just spinning in place. Like I'm working my ass off, but nothing's changing. And then there are the dreams. God, the dreams. I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to live in a cozy apartment with books everywhere and work from home, writing stories that would one day be read by people all over the world. Now, I can barely find time to jot down a few paragraphs on a weekend. Every time I sit down to write, there's a nagging thought in the back of my mind. Asterisk, you don't have time for this. You need to work. You need to pay the bills. Asterisk, it's like there's this constant tug-of-war between what I want to do and what I have to do. And the thing is, writing isn't just a passion, it's part of who I am. But it feels like the more I push it aside, the more it hurts. Like I'm suffocating the one thing that gives me life. I've tried to be practical about it. Maybe I'm not meant to be a full-time writer. Maybe I can do it as a hobby and focus on building my career in marketing. But every time I put my pen down and close the laptop, I feel a sense of loss, like something inside me is dying. I wish I could find a way to make it work, but I don't know how. It's not just the financial pressure that's crushing me, it's the feeling of being stuck. The economic environment we live in doesn't help. I see the rising cost of rent, the insane prices of food, the interest rates on loans climbing higher, and it makes me feel like I'm fighting a losing battle. The system feels rigged. I want to make a change, but everything costs money. Getting an education to improve my career prospects costs money. Moving to a more affordable city costs money. Starting a side hustle, going back to school, investing in my future, it all requires some kind of financial foundation that I just don't have. It's like the ladder I need to climb out of this hole doesn't even exist. Sometimes, when I'm feeling really low, I wonder if this is it. Maybe this is my life now, paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make ends meet, never able to breathe easy. I tell myself that it's temporary, that one day things will get better, but I don't know if that day will ever come. It's hard to keep hoping when every day feels like a struggle. But then I think about the future. What do I really want? What's the life I'm working toward? Maybe it's not the grand visions I had when I was younger. Maybe it's about small victories. A steady job, a sense of security, a chance to breathe. Maybe I won't get to write full-time, at least not for now, but I can write when I can, even if it's just for myself. Maybe I won't be able to travel the world or buy a house for years, but maybe I can find small ways to make life richer. I hold on to that, even on the bad days. Even when I feel like I'm treading water and getting nowhere, I try to remind myself that this moment isn't the end. I just have to keep going. Keep working, keep hoping, keep dreaming, even if those dreams are smaller than they used to be. I'm learning that it's okay to adjust my expectations. I may not have everything I thought I would by now, but I have the strength to keep pushing forward. And for now, that's enough. Some days, that's all I can ask for. I wake up to the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand, an alarm I've set, even though I don't need it anymore. It's not like I'm going anywhere or doing anything exciting today, anyway. But I keep it on, just to force myself into some sort of routine. The screen lights up, showing me the time, 7:15 a.m. I groan, but I'm already awake. I always wake up early now, even when I don't want to. Anxiety doesn't let me sleep in. I roll over, trying to ignore the weight in my chest, and pull myself out of bed. The kitchen's cold, the same as it's always been in the mornings. I'm used to the silence now, the kind of silence that fills a room like a thick fog, heavy, suffocating. My roommates are still asleep, probably. Or maybe they're just too good at pretending they don't feel the same way I do. I take out the cereal, the generic brand I can barely afford, and pour myself a bowl. The milk's almost gone. I mentally calculate the cost of the next carton. I wonder if I should just make coffee instead. Coffee might be cheaper, especially if I buy it in bulk. But I haven't even figured out how I'm going to pay rent next week, so I'll stick to the cereal for now. Even though it feels like every time I buy food, I'm robbing myself of something else I might need later. The economic pressure feels like a constant weight pressing down on my chest, something that never lets me breathe fully. Every decision I make has to be weighed carefully, everything costs more than I expect, and my paycheck never stretches far enough. Rent, utilities, transportation, groceries, student loans, it never ends. And as much as I try to remind myself that I'm lucky to have a job, to have a roof over my head, there's always this sense of dread that lurks in the back of my mind. The fear of waking up one day and finding out that it's all gone, that I've fallen too far behind and I won't be able to catch up. I sit at the small kitchen table, spooning the cereal into my mouth while I scroll through my phone. Email notifications flood in, some from friends I haven't spoken to in weeks, some from work, and a few from companies telling me they've received my application but, sorry, I'm not what they're looking for. It's always the same. Apply. Wait. Get rejected. Rinse and repeat. But, today, one of the emails catches my eye, an alert about a bill that's due soon. I open it, and my stomach drops when I see the total. It's more than I expected, and it's already eating into what I thought was my buffer for the month. It's like a cruel joke, honestly. Every time I think I've figured out how to make ends meet, something new comes up, another surprise charge, another bill that slipped through the cracks, another expense I forgot to factor in. I thought I was managing, but really, I'm just treading water. I check my bank account for the 10th time today, trying to calculate if I'll have enough. The numbers on the screen are so tight they feel like they're suffocating me. I can't believe I'm here, 25 years old, and still living paycheck to paycheck. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. And, honestly, it's embarrassing. I think about the dreams I used to have. The plans I had for myself when I was younger, when I thought things would get better by now. I wanted to travel, to explore the world. I wanted to take risks, start my own business, maybe move to a bigger city where I could grow professionally, where my ambitions wouldn't feel so out of reach. But now? Now I'm just trying to make it through each day. Every time I picture the future, it feels like I'm walking through fog. I can't see more than a few feet ahead of me, and I don't know if I'm going to get to where I thought I was going. After breakfast, I head to work. The commute feels like a waste of time. My job is just a job, nothing special, nothing I'm passionate about. It's not that I'm ungrateful. I know I'm lucky to have it. But it doesn't pay nearly enough to make up for how much I feel like I'm giving up. I sit in traffic, listening to the same songs on the radio, feeling the same weight pressing down on me. It's all I can do to keep going, keep showing up, even when I know it's not enough. Even when I know I'm not enough. At work, I sit at my desk and try to focus. The tasks pile up. Every time I finish one, there's another one waiting. I'm always behind, always trying to catch up. It's easy to get lost in the grind, to zone out and just do what needs to be done. But it's also exhausting. And no matter how hard I work, it never feels like I'm getting ahead. I hear my coworkers talking about their weekend plans, their upcoming vacations, their latest purchases. I smile and nod, but inside, I'm jealous. I wish I could live like that, without the constant stress, without the weight of all these bills hanging over me. But I can't. I'm too far gone. I tell myself it's fine. I'll make it work. I've always made it work. But sometimes, it feels like I'm fooling myself. By the time I get home, I'm too tired to do anything but eat a quick dinner and collapse into bed. I'm so mentally drained that I barely notice the hours slipping away. I tell myself I'll figure it out tomorrow. I'll come up with a solution. But deep down, I know it's just a cycle, and I'm trapped in it. I haven't told anyone how bad it really is. I mean, I can't. I don't want to seem weak. I don't want anyone to pity me. But the truth is, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of what comes next. Of how long I can keep going like this. Of how long I can keep pretending that everything's okay when it's not. I have dreams, still. Small ones. Simple ones. I want to be able to breathe without feeling like my bank account is watching me. I want to be able to buy something without having to put it on a credit card and worry about the interest later. I want to feel like I'm actually building something, like I'm moving forward. But right now, I'm just trying to hold it together. I'm just trying to make it through another day without falling apart. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever get to where I want to be, or if I'll just keep stumbling through life like this. But I have to keep going, don't I? Because what else is there? I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending that everything's fine, but for now, I don't have a choice. Maybe one day, I'll be able to look back at all this and laugh. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just keep struggling, and that'll be my story. For now, I try not to think too far ahead. I try to survive the present, even when it feels like I'm barely keeping my head above water. But I still hope. I hope that things will get better. I have to. Because without hope, what's left? Maybe tomorrow will be different. Or maybe it won't. Either way, I'll wake up, and I'll keep trying. For now, that's all I can do. It feels like I'm drowning, but I don't know how deep the water is. Some days it's hard to tell if I'm just treading, or if I've been swallowed whole. The bills pile up so fast that the moment I pay one off, another shows up like clockwork. The amount of times I've checked my bank account this month just to reassure myself that I haven't overspent or forgotten something is embarrassing. But here we are. I never thought adulthood would be like this. The bills aren't just a minor inconvenience. They are a constant companion that reminds me, day in and day out, that I'm not where I should be, or at least not where I thought I'd be. I always assumed that by now I'd have my act together. Maybe not rich, but at least financially stable. Instead, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, watching prices climb faster than my income. I keep telling myself I'm not alone. Everyone is feeling this pinch. But that doesn't make it easier. At 26, I should feel like I'm in control, but it often feels like I'm a spectator to my own life. I've been working the same job for 2 years, entry level, of course. Every time I get a raise, it's swallowed by the increasing cost of everything else. Rent went up again last month. Gas prices shot up the moment I thought they'd stabilize. The grocery store is practically a crime scene now. Prices are so high it feels like I'm buying air when I leave with just a few bags. And it's not like I can sit back and say, oh, I'll just work harder, and it'll get better. There's only so many hours I can work before I burn out. I know because I've already come close to that line several times. I've started finding ways to cut corners, buying off-brand products, skipping meals when I can, ignoring the fact that my savings account is now just a fantasy. It's like I'm living in a constant state of negotiation with myself. Do I buy the healthier food that'll last me longer or get the cheaper option to stretch the budget? I hate that I even have to think like that. I want to buy the healthy food. I want to take care of myself, but the truth is, I just don't have the luxury to think beyond today. The other night, I was sitting in my apartment, scrolling through social media. I saw friends posting about vacations, new cars, new homes. They all seemed so effortless, so sure of themselves, and there I was, staring at a pile of overdue bills and wondering how I'm supposed to afford even a weekend getaway. The feeling of being left behind hits hard in those moments. I've never felt so small. But I know the truth, they're not better than me. They don't have it all figured out. It's just that some people have a head start. I didn't. Still, I keep going, even when it feels like I'm moving in slow motion. I'm trying to remind myself that this won't last forever. I hope it won't, at least. Every day feels like it's on the edge of breaking. I have dreams, big ones, too, but they always seem so far out of reach. A couple of years ago, I told myself I'd be traveling the world by now. I thought I'd have a career that I was passionate about, a sense of stability, maybe even a little luxury. But reality is brutal. The truth is, most days I don't even know if I'll make rent without dipping into credit. And it's hard not to feel embarrassed by that. I'm scared of being stuck in this cycle forever. Some nights, when I can't sleep because my mind is racing with numbers and possibilities, I wonder if I'll ever be able to afford anything meaningful. I think about retirement, even though it feels so distant. How will I ever save for that? Will I have to work myself into the ground just to survive, only to realize that I've wasted my prime years chasing the next paycheck? But there are moments of clarity too. Times when I realize that maybe I'm not just fighting against the system, I'm fighting with it. Every choice I make to stretch a dollar, every day I show up at work despite the exhaustion, it's me proving something to myself. I'm resilient. I'm still moving forward, even if it feels like 2 steps backward for every 1 step forward. On weekends, I try to escape my mind by walking through the park, sitting by the lake, or just watching the sunset from my tiny apartment window. It's a brief break, but it's enough to keep me going. The quiet gives me a moment to dream again. I dream of a future where I have more control over my financial situation, where I can go out to dinner without feeling like I'm draining my bank account. I dream of owning something of my own, a place where I can finally put down roots. I want to be able to take a trip when I need it, not just when I can afford it. I also try to remind myself that I'm not alone. Everyone is facing some kind of pressure, whether they're struggling with finances, relationships, mental health, or other challenges. I'm not some failure because I'm dealing with financial pressure. But sometimes, in the quiet hours of the night when I'm staring at my ceiling, it's hard not to feel like I'm failing. Like I'm too far behind and I'll never catch up. But maybe that's the trick, right? Maybe I'm not supposed to catch up at all. Maybe I just need to keep going, one step at a time, even if it's a slow crawl. I try not to let the weight of the world crush me, but some days, it feels like it does. Other days, it's easier to breathe, easier to take a step back and see that, even though everything is hard right now, I'm still moving. I know my dreams might take longer to reach. Maybe I'll never get that vacation in the near future, or maybe I'll have to work harder than others to get what I want, but I can't let that stop me. There are still bright spots, small victories, paying off a bill on time, getting through a tough week, making sure I don't go into debt. I can't focus on the bigger picture all the time. I can't afford to. So, I breathe. And I keep going. One day, I'll look back and realize that I was stronger than I gave myself credit for. That's what I hold on to, even when the days feel overwhelming. I'm not giving up. I'm just learning how to survive in a system that wasn't made for people like me. And maybe that's the real victory after all. One foot in front of the other. I'll get there. I have to. Hey, friends. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. I wake up to the sound of my phone buzzing. Another notification, this time from the bank. I ignore it, rolling over and pulling the covers tight. But I know what it is. The balance, the overdraft, the fees that are eating up what little savings I've scraped together. It's a morning ritual now, denial, avoidance, then eventually I face the numbers. The light creeping through the blinds feels too bright, too harsh, as I slowly sit up. My room is small, cramped. It's nothing special, just a place to crash after the grind of another day. The walls are bare. I tell myself it doesn't matter. I don't need things, not when there's so much more pressing, so many bills to pay, so many things I can't afford to fix or even address. I stare at my phone for a moment, trying to gather the courage to check the notification. But then my stomach churns. I force myself to open the app. There it is, the current balance. Not enough. Again. I sigh, shaking my head. I knew it was coming. It always does. Every day is like this. Living paycheck to paycheck, a constant tightrope walk. Every month, I get the same sinking feeling when the rent is due, when utilities arrive in the mail, when the grocery store total hits too high and I'm forced to make decisions that never seem right. Do I skip paying my phone bill this month? Cut down on food? Do I even dare buy a cup of coffee when I'm out running errands? It's a sick game of priorities. The guilt of each choice weighs on me more than I can handle sometimes. I sit in silence for a few moments, staring at the empty space in front of me. My mind drifts to my dreams, the ones I haven't been able to chase because they're just too far out of reach. A part of me wants to travel, see the world, write that book that's been sitting in my head for years. But the dream feels so distant now. So out of touch. When your bank account is always in the red, what do you even do with a dream that requires money, time, and stability? Instead, I open the weather app to check the forecast. I have a meeting today at work, and I need to leave in a couple of hours. But the thought of going into the office makes my shoulders tighten. I've been feeling disconnected at my job for months now. It's just so draining. A job that doesn't offer the growth I thought it would, that doesn't give me the satisfaction I imagined. I'm good at what I do, sure, but it's not enough. I don't feel fulfilled, and every day I sit in my cubicle, tapping away at a keyboard, I feel like I'm wasting away. But I need the paycheck. I can't afford to leave. I can't even afford to dream of a new career path because that would require a financial cushion, a safety net I don't have. As I get dressed and prepare for the day, I go through my mental checklist. I'll stop by the grocery store on the way home from work, but I know I'll have to put a lot of stuff back on the shelf. I'll get the essentials, bread, eggs, maybe some pasta, but the fresh fruit, the snacks, the things I really want? Those will have to wait. I've been putting off buying new clothes for months now. The shoes I wear are falling apart, but they still work, so I'll hold on to them until I absolutely can't. Some days, I wonder if I'll ever have a life where I don't have to make these decisions. A life where I can go into a store and not feel anxious about the price tags. I want a life where I don't have to think about every penny I spend, where I can buy a gift for a friend just because, or enjoy a dinner out without wondering if I can make it up at the end of the month. But that's not reality. My reality is constant anxiety over bills, debt, and future plans I'm not sure will ever happen. On my way to work, I pass the usual sights, the coffee shop that smells so good but feels like an indulgence I can't afford, the apartments with their shiny windows that reflect a life I don't have. I'm stuck in the middle of a system that seems to be built to keep me just below the surface, gasping for air but never quite drowning. I wonder if anyone else feels this way. Do they know how hard it is to keep smiling, to pretend you have it together when you don't? To pretend like you're not living on the edge of your own financial breakdown? Sometimes, I'll see someone on social media with a shiny new car or a vacation to a place I've only seen in pictures, and I just can't help but feel a stab of envy. How do they do it? How do they get ahead? Why does it feel like I'm always 2 steps behind? At work, I do what I'm expected to do. I answer emails, attend meetings, sit through the monotony of it all. Every now and then, I find a brief moment of peace, like when I'm in a quiet corner of the office, sipping my water and staring out the window. I let my mind wander then. I think about how different things could be. But even in that small fantasy, the reality is there, lurking, always reminding me of the distance between where I am and where I want to be. I think about the future. What will it look like in 5 years? Will I still be in this job, in this cycle? Will I still be having the same conversations with myself about cutting back, saving a little more, surviving until the next paycheck? I try to remind myself that there's hope. There has to be, right? But then, a voice creeps in, isn't it all just a way to survive, not to live? The truth is, I'm tired. I'm tired of feeling stuck. I'm tired of feeling like the world is moving forward, and I'm just standing still. I want more than this. But right now, more feels like a luxury. It feels like a distant dream. By the end of the day, when I get home and unpack my groceries, just the basics, nothing more, I feel a deep exhaustion. Not just physical, but emotional. It's been another day of juggling, of running in place, and I don't know how much longer I can keep it up. I wonder what it would feel like to breathe without this weight on my chest, to live without the constant stress of my financial situation hanging over me. But then I remind myself, this is life. For now. As I sit at my desk later that night, balancing a budget spreadsheet that never seems to add up, I think about the future again. I think about the dreams I've put on hold. I think about the life I imagined when I was younger, one with adventure, with freedom, with peace. Maybe one day I'll get there. Maybe one day, the struggle will stop. But for now, I keep moving forward, even if it's just one small, tired step at a time. I hope that one day, all this work will add up to something more. Until then, I keep dreaming, even if it feels impossible. But for tonight, I settle into bed, close my eyes, and try not to think about tomorrow. It's all I can do. I wake up every morning to the sound of my phone buzzing with notifications. Most of them are bills. Some are from my student loan provider, others from the electric company, and there's always the reminder that the rent is due. It's like my phone is in charge, not me. The first thing I think about each day is the number I'm about to see on my bank account, and it's never a pleasant surprise. I wonder if I'm the only one who feels this weight. Who else starts their morning with that familiar knot in their stomach? Lately, it feels like I'm always hustling but never catching up. It's a weird, cyclical kind of exhaustion. I work full-time, but my salary barely covers the basics. I've been stuck in the same entry-level job for 2 years now. Every time I get a small raise, it feels like the cost of living jumps another level. Rent goes up, gas prices go up, groceries go up. I try to stick to a budget, but every week something unexpected comes up. My car breaks down, the dog needs surgery, or I run out of toothpaste and end up paying twice as much at the convenience store because I didn't plan ahead. It all adds up, and my bank account keeps dwindling. I used to think that if I just worked hard enough, things would get better. That's what everyone says, right? If you put in the hours, you'll be rewarded. But no one talks about how the system's built so that no matter how many hours you work, it's still not enough to cover everything. I'm not lazy. I'm not wasting time. But the math never adds up. Some days, I feel like a hamster in a wheel. I can't escape the pressure of it all, no matter how fast I run. It gets harder and harder to find joy in things. Last week, I went out with friends, something I used to look forward to, but all I could think about was the $30 I'd spend on dinner and drinks. I don't want to feel like I'm always watching my wallet, but it's impossible not to. I know people who are doing well, friends who have houses or new cars, friends who can go on vacation whenever they want. Sometimes I feel like I'm watching everyone else live in a world I don't have access to. It's like I'm stuck on the other side of some invisible barrier. They talk about retirement plans, about investing, about things that feel so far out of reach, and I try not to let it get to me, but it does. It's frustrating because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I went to college. I studied hard. I got the job. But no one tells you how much things cost when you're just starting out. No one explains how quickly your savings get eaten up by little things that add up. And if you don't have a safety net, it's like trying to run uphill with a backpack full of rocks. I dream of a day when I don't have to worry about paying for the basics. I imagine living in a place where I don't have to calculate how much money I can spend on gas without risking running out before payday. I think about what it would feel like to have the freedom to take a trip without checking my account balance first. I don't need to be rich. I just want the kind of stability where I don't feel like I'm one mistake away from disaster. But I keep thinking about how many people feel the same way. Sometimes it's hard to keep my chin up when I feel like I'm just another person lost in the crowd. It's exhausting to constantly wonder if I'll ever get ahead. Every time I see a post on social media about someone's success, whether it's a new job, a house, or a vacation, I feel a pang of jealousy. But mostly, it's sadness. Why can't that be me? Why am I stuck while the world keeps moving forward? I've started cutting out little luxuries, but I don't even know if they count as luxuries anymore. I don't go out for coffee anymore. I make it at home, even though I used to enjoy grabbing a cup on the way to work. I don't order delivery or take out anymore, even though I used to love doing that after a long week. And even when I do have the chance to enjoy a treat, it feels more like guilt than pleasure. It's not just the money, though. It's the constant pressure. I find myself holding my breath, bracing for the next emergency, the next expense. It's exhausting to live with the knowledge that I'm always on the edge of something breaking, an unexpected health issue, a car repair, a job loss. Every decision, every purchase, every choice is made with that undercurrent of fear. Will this be the thing that breaks me? Will this be the thing that sends me into debt, into even worse financial hardship? And it's not just the money itself that weighs on me. It's the sense that I'm missing out on life. I've had dreams. I still have them. I wanted to travel the world, explore new cultures, and experience life in ways I haven't yet. But it feels like all my dreams have to be postponed until the bills are paid, until there's enough left over to justify indulging. How do you reconcile the fact that you've spent your whole life dreaming about something, only to find that those dreams feel farther and farther out of reach? I used to think by the time I was in my 20s, I would have figured things out. I'd be independent, comfortable, moving forward. But instead, I'm still fighting to stay afloat. I try not to think too much about the future. Every time I do, it just feels more uncertain, more out of my control. I think about retirement, about saving for the long term, but it feels so distant when my immediate needs are so pressing. I tell myself that things will get better. Maybe after the next raise, maybe after I find a new job, maybe after I move to a cheaper place. But the truth is, it doesn't feel like it's going to get better anytime soon. Sometimes, I don't even know what better would look like. I keep telling myself that this is temporary. That eventually, I'll find my way out of this. But it's hard to hold on to that optimism when every day feels like a grind. Every month is the same cycle, working, paying bills, hoping that next month will be easier, even though deep down, I know it won't be. I'm just trying to survive. That's all I can do right now. The worst part is the sense of isolation. It's hard to talk about these struggles with people. Everyone else seems like they've got their shit together. It feels embarrassing to admit that I'm drowning in bills, that I feel trapped by a system that seems built to keep people like me down. But I can't help but wonder, how many other people are feeling the same way? How many of us are just trying to stay afloat, pretending we're okay when we're not? I don't want to give up hope, but some days it feels impossible not to. It's like I'm fighting a battle I can't win. But all I can do is keep going. That's the only choice I have. Keep working. Keep hoping. Keep surviving. Because one day, maybe things will change. Maybe the weight will lift. Maybe then, I'll finally be able to breathe. Until then, I just have to keep moving forward, even if it feels like I'm walking in circles. I wake up to the sound of my alarm, a little later than I'd planned. My bed feels too cozy, but I can't afford to waste any more time. The anxiety I've been carrying around for the past few years has become a part of my morning routine, just like brushing my teeth or grabbing my bag. The weight of it settles in as I reach for my phone to check my account balance before anything else. $23.14. That's it. That's all I've got. I try not to let it ruin my mood. There's no point in crying over it, I'm used to the emptiness by now. But there's something about seeing that number that always makes me feel small. I'm 26, and I should be doing better than this. I should have more savings, a stable income, a future that doesn't feel like a tightrope walk where I'm always teetering on the edge of falling off. I should be planning vacations or buying things I actually enjoy instead of wondering if I can make it until the end of the week without needing to borrow from someone. I take a deep breath. Another day, I guess. I get dressed, make a quick breakfast, which usually consists of oatmeal or toast, cheap, but filling enough to keep me going. Then I grab my things and head out to the bus stop. The ride to work is always the same. I pull out my earbuds and try to distract myself from the reality of the city around me. Everyone here is hustling, moving, struggling in their own quiet ways. You can see it in the tired faces, the hunched shoulders, the half-hearted smiles. Everyone is trying to survive. But it's hard to escape the truth that we're all stuck in this system that constantly demands more while giving less in return. I work as an office assistant, answering phones, filing paperwork, and handling the little things that no one else wants to deal with. It's not the career I dreamed of, but it's steady work. Mostly. Some days, I wonder if this is the best I can do. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about the dreams I had back when I was younger, full of ambition and hope. I wanted to be an artist, to travel, to make a living doing what I loved. But now, I'm lucky if I can scrape together enough to cover my rent and bills each month. The worst part is how unpredictable it all feels. Last month, I had a medical bill that wiped out my savings. This month, the rent went up. Again. The cost of groceries is rising, too. It's hard to get ahead when everything keeps getting more expensive. I used to be able to stretch a paycheck, but now it feels like I'm constantly falling behind. The more I try to catch up, the farther I seem to drift away from stability. At work, I try to focus, but my mind keeps wandering. What's the point of working hard if the goalposts keep moving? I've had people tell me that hard work will eventually pay off. That if I just keep grinding, my breakthrough will come. But the older I get, the more that sounds like a comforting lie. It's not that I don't work hard. I do. I give it my all, even when I'm exhausted. But every time I think I'm getting ahead, something else pops up, an unexpected bill, a rent increase, a credit card payment I can't ignore. And then there are the moments when I feel like I've missed out on something. Everyone around me seems to have it figured out, friends with their own apartments, couples buying homes, people going on vacations and taking time off to relax. I don't have any of that. When was the last time I took a day off without worrying about the money I'd lose by doing it? I don't even remember. But the thing that weighs on me the most isn't just the money, it's the feeling of being trapped. I'm stuck in this cycle where I work hard, but it never feels like enough. The fear of not having enough money to cover my expenses keeps me up at night. It eats at me, making everything harder. I can't plan ahead. I can't dream. I can't even imagine a future that looks different from this. All I can see is the immediate need to survive, to pay the bills, keep my head above water, and try not to drown in the endless tide of costs. I've stopped making plans for the future. I used to think about going back to school, maybe picking up a new skill, but I can't afford the time or the money. I used to think about moving to a different city, but the cost of living there is even worse than here. Sometimes I think about quitting my job and finding something that's more fulfilling, but then I remind myself that I can't afford to be without a paycheck for a second. Every decision feels like it has a price, and not just in dollars. The emotional cost is often higher than the financial one. When I get home in the evening, I collapse into bed and try to find some peace. The days blur into one another, and I wonder if I'll ever be able to escape this feeling of being stuck. The dreams I had, those distant, beautiful hopes for the future, seem so far out of reach now. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to create. I wanted to be someone who could enjoy life without constantly feeling like I was one mistake away from financial disaster. But right now, it feels like I'm living someone else's life. A life where money controls everything, where it dictates my choices, my freedom, my worth. There are nights when I cry about it, not because I'm weak, but because I'm exhausted. I've been carrying this weight for so long, I'm not sure how much more I can bear. But I do. I get up the next day and keep going, because what else is there to do? I've had people tell me that my struggles are just temporary. It'll get better, they say. You'll figure it out. But what if I don't? What if this is just how life is now? What if the dreams I once had were only meant for people who had a head start or came from the right background, the right circumstances? And yet, in the darkest moments, there's still a flicker of hope. It's small and fragile, but it's there. Maybe it's naive, but I still believe things can change. I still want to believe that there's a way out of this cycle. That if I just hold on long enough, I'll find a way to breathe again. Maybe the world isn't as impossible as it feels, and maybe one day, I'll wake up to a different reality, one where I don't have to choose between eating and paying the rent, where my future isn't determined by my bank balance. But for now, all I can do is hold on. Hold on to that small, fragile hope that tomorrow might be a little easier. That somehow, I'll find a way to make it out of this. It's hard to believe, but I have to, because if I don't, then what's the point? I wake up to the sound of my alarm blaring, and for a few seconds, the weight of the world doesn't hit me. I'm just lying there, trying to pull myself out of the fog of sleep, but then reality crashes in. It always does. The bills, the student loans, rent, utilities, everything that I can't escape, no matter how much I try to distract myself from it. I glance at my phone for a quick check of the time. I have just enough to get ready and head out, but my heart sinks when I see the notifications. There's an email from the utility company reminding me that I'm behind on my payment, a message from the credit card company warning me about my balance, and a reminder from the bank that my checking account is dangerously low. I drag myself out of bed, still exhausted from the night before, but I've learned to ignore it. Fatigue is a constant companion. It doesn't matter how little sleep I get because the bills don't stop coming. I can't afford to rest. I have to keep moving, keep working, keep making decisions about what I can sacrifice this month in order to keep my head above water. I shuffle to the bathroom, turning the cold water on and splashing my face. The mirror doesn't lie. I look tired, older than I should for being just 24. I haven't been able to save enough to do anything other than survive. And even that feels like a stretch some days. I don't know how long I can keep this up. I put on the same clothes I wore yesterday because laundry is one more thing I can't afford. I'm trying to stretch everything as far as it will go, my paycheck, my time, my energy. And sometimes, I feel like I'm running on fumes. Breakfast? That's a luxury I can't afford. Instead, I grab a granola bar that's been in my purse for a few days and head out the door. I've learned to make small sacrifices like this, things I don't even notice anymore. Skipping meals, buying cheap knockoff brands at the store, avoiding places that tempt me to spend money on things I don't really need but desperately want. I get on the bus, the same one I've taken for the past year to get to my job. It's the cheapest option, but it's also the most time-consuming. The bus is crowded, and I can't help but overhear snippets of conversation from people around me, each of us wrapped up in our own financial struggles. A woman's talking about how she can't afford a new pair of shoes for her son, a guy's complaining about the price of gas. Everyone is in the same boat, but no one says it out loud. We all just go through the motions, pretending everything is fine when we all know it's not. I finally get to work, and the day feels like a blur. I'm a temp at a small marketing firm, doing data entry and answering emails, tasks that don't really matter but are enough to keep the lights on. I try to focus, but my mind keeps drifting to the bills piling up on my kitchen counter. The gas bill is due next week, and I don't have enough to cover it. The rent is due at the end of the month, and I'm not sure how I'm going to make it. I've been living paycheck to paycheck for so long, I don't even remember what it feels like to not be constantly stressed about money. I've been hoping for a raise, for something that would give me a little breathing room, but every time I ask, I get the same response: we'll review it in a few months. I feel like I'm running in circles. No matter how hard I work, I can't escape the trap. And it's not just work. It's everything. Even when I come home at the end of the day, I can't relax. I can't unwind. The stress follows me. I can't afford to go out with friends anymore, I can't even afford a night out to distract myself. So, I stay in. I watch reruns of shows I've seen 100 times before and scroll through social media, looking at the pictures of people living lives I can't even imagine. They're going on vacations, buying new clothes, living in nicer apartments. And I can't help but wonder how they're doing it. How are they making it work? What am I doing wrong? Sometimes I tell myself I'm just not trying hard enough, that if I worked harder or made better choices, I could be in a better place. But then I remind myself that I'm already working so hard. I go to work every day, sometimes working late into the night to meet deadlines. I've been doing everything right, but it's still not enough. Every day feels like a struggle, like I'm treading water and just barely staying afloat. I can't remember the last time I let myself dream about the future. It used to be easy. I wanted to travel, buy my own place, start a family, maybe even get out of this city where everything is so expensive. But now, all I dream about is making it through the month without drowning in debt. I'm so focused on survival that I've forgotten what it feels like to hope. Some nights, I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what could have been. What if I hadn't gone to college? Maybe I wouldn't be so burdened by student loans. What if I had taken a different job, moved to a cheaper city, done something, anything, differently? I don't know. I just know that right now, my choices feel limited. Every decision I make is a gamble. Do I pay rent this month or buy groceries? Do I pay off a portion of my credit card or risk having it go to collections? I try to tell myself that things will get better, that one day, I'll look back on this and be proud of how I made it through. But it's hard to hold on to hope when it feels like the world is working against you. It's hard to believe that anything will change when everything seems so out of reach. Still, I get up every day. I keep going. I have to. I don't know what else to do. Sometimes, I think about the future, the version of me that has made it through this. Maybe I'll be able to save up for a vacation, or finally buy that new jacket I've been eyeing, or have a cushion in my bank account that doesn't disappear as soon as it hits. But right now, all I can do is keep swimming, even when the current feels too strong to fight. I don't have the answers. I don't know if it will ever get better. But I have to believe it will. I have to believe that someday, I'll look back at this and know it wasn't in vain. That all these sacrifices, all this struggle, will lead to something better. Maybe that's what keeps me going. Maybe that's all I can do, just keep going. The sound of the alarm rings through my bedroom, a harsh reminder that another day has started. It's 7 a.m., but I don't feel ready to face it. I've never really felt ready to face it, life, I mean. Each day, it feels like I'm just scrambling to keep my head above water. But today, like so many others, I open my eyes and immediately feel the weight of everything pressing in. I reach over to my nightstand and grab my phone, scrolling through my bank app. I do this every morning, like some kind of sick ritual. It's not that I expect anything to change, of course it won't, but I check anyway. Today, it's the same as yesterday. Maybe even a little worse. The balance on my checking account is barely enough to cover my rent, let alone the utilities or groceries. I look at the numbers, and a knot forms in my stomach. It's not even that I'm irresponsible with money. I've tried to budget, to cut down on little luxuries, dinners out, subscriptions I don't need, impulse buys at the store. But it's never enough. The cost of living keeps rising, and my paycheck doesn't keep up. I let out a heavy sigh and put the phone down. I can't linger on it for too long. I've got to get up, get dressed, and face the world. I make my way to the kitchen to brew some coffee, another expense that feels both necessary and indulgent at the same time. There's a small part of me that feels guilty for even spending money on something as simple as a cup of coffee, but it's the only thing that gets me through the morning. Without it, I'm a zombie, a shell of a person. My apartment isn't much, just a small one-bedroom in a building that's starting to show its age. The walls are thin, and I can hear the neighbors above me walking around at all hours. There's no charm to it, nothing special. It's a place to sleep, really. I'd love to have a space that feels like home, but with rent as high as it is, I can't even entertain the idea of moving. I just keep putting up with it because, well, what else can I do? I work a 9-to-5 job at an office, doing what I can to get by. I won't say I hate it, but it's not something I'm passionate about either. I'm grateful for the job, of course. But lately, it feels like I'm just showing up every day because I have to. There's no real joy in it anymore. I'm not working toward any dream, I'm just doing the motions. The drive to work is always the same roads, the same traffic. It's one of those moments where the monotony feels suffocating. I can't help but think, is this it? Is this what I've been working toward my whole life? I've had dreams, big ones, really. I wanted to travel, maybe start my own business one day, get out of this cycle of working just to pay bills. But those dreams feel further away with every passing day. There's no room for them anymore. They're just nice thoughts that I push aside when the reality of my situation hits. At work, I do my best to stay focused, but my mind often drifts to the numbers in my bank account. Every time I think I'm getting ahead, something comes up. A medical bill, a car repair, or just the rising cost of groceries. It's like I'm stuck in this game where no matter how hard I try, I can't win. Lunch is always something simple, usually a sandwich I bring from home. I've gotten so good at planning my meals to save money, but even that feels like a small victory in a system that keeps squeezing tighter. I've learned how to make a meal stretch, how to buy in bulk, how to use leftovers. But no matter how many times I stretch my budget, I never feel like I'm truly getting ahead. After work, I often find myself scrolling through job listings or checking out freelance opportunities, hoping for something that'll offer more money or flexibility. But even that feels like a dream. The job market is brutal right now. Everything requires experience, and the entry-level positions don't pay enough to cover the basics, let alone allow me to put anything aside for savings or emergencies. When I get home, I collapse on the couch. I'm exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. It's hard to keep pushing forward when every day feels like a fight. I know I'm not alone in this struggle. So many people are facing the same pressure, feeling the same weight of an economy that's leaving them behind. But that doesn't make it any easier. Sometimes, I wonder if I'll ever break free from this. I think about what it would be like to not have to check my bank account every morning, to not worry about how much I've spent on gas or groceries. I imagine being able to buy something just because I want it, without the guilt that follows. But then I remember how far away that feels. The thought of saving for something that's not an emergency feels so distant, so unattainable. I've had to postpone so many things, trips I wanted to take, classes I wanted to enroll in, even the idea of moving to a better apartment. Everything is on hold, just out of reach. There's a part of me that feels like I'm failing. I try not to let that voice get to me, but it's hard not to hear it when everything around me feels like a constant reminder of what I can't afford. I see friends posting about vacations or new purchases, and I can't help but feel a pang of jealousy. It's not that I begrudge them their happiness, but it just reminds me of what I don't have. And then there's the emotional toll this all takes. It's hard to feel hopeful when you're constantly in survival mode. There's no space for joy when you're just trying to make it through the day. I've tried to practice gratitude, to focus on the things I do have, but some days it feels like a losing battle. Still, I keep going. Maybe it's because I don't know what else to do, or maybe because I still cling to the hope that things will change. Maybe there's a better job out there, or maybe one day the cost of living will slow down. Maybe I'll finally get the break I need. But that hope is fragile. Every time I get a little bit of relief, it's quickly followed by another bill, another unexpected expense, another reminder of how much work it takes just to maintain the status quo. I wish I could say that I'm doing okay, that I've figured out a way to balance everything. But I haven't. I'm just here, like so many others, trying to make it work. Some days I'm barely holding on, but I keep going because what else is there to do? Maybe one day I'll be able to look back on this time and see it as a chapter in my life that I survived. Maybe the dreams I put on hold will come true eventually, when the timing is right. But for now, I'm just getting through. And that's all I can do. I wake up every morning to the sound of my phone buzzing, another notification, another reminder that life is moving faster than I am. The bills are always there, waiting like clockwork, each one carrying a sense of dread that I can't shake off. I drag myself out of bed, a little tired from the night before, and the first thing I do is check my bank account. It's a habit now, a ritual, but it always feels like I'm checking the score of a game I'm losing. Every single day. I'm 25, and sometimes it feels like I'm stuck in a cycle that's never going to end. I thought by now I'd be settled, have a career, maybe a little money saved up, perhaps even a vacation booked. Instead, I'm just treading water. It's like the more I try to get ahead, the further behind I fall. Take rent, for example. My apartment is small, outdated, and honestly, not all that safe, but it's all I can afford. It's the cheapest place I could find in the city, but even that seems to go up every year. The landlord doesn't even pretend to care. Every month, there's a new excuse: we're raising rent because of inflation. The property taxes went up. It's always something, and I'm stuck paying it, just like everyone else. I've seen the posts online, people my age complaining about the same thing: rent is climbing, wages are stagnant, and we're all just watching as we slowly get priced out of everything. I don't even want to think about the student loans. It's as if I'm shackled by the past decisions of a younger version of myself who thought college would open doors, not close them. The interest on those loans is like a silent killer, slowly draining what little I have left. I went to a state school, took the cheapest option for my degree, but still, it's overwhelming. I make my monthly payment, but it's like a drop in an ocean of debt. There's this constant pressure in the back of my mind: you have to do more. You have to work harder. But even when I push myself, it feels like I'm running on a treadmill, my feet moving, but getting nowhere. I have a job that I'm grateful for, at least, I think I should be grateful. It pays the bills. Barely. I'm a marketing assistant at a small firm, and I know it's not my dream job, but I never thought I'd be so consumed by surviving that I'd lose track of what I actually want to do. Some days, I feel like I'm selling pieces of myself just to keep the lights on. But the stress isn't just about money, it's how it affects everything. I've lost count of the nights I've laid awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything crashing down. There's this constant buzzing in my brain, the noise of things I should be doing, applying for better jobs, learning new skills, making more money. But by the time I get home from work, all I want to do is collapse into bed and forget about it all, even if it's only for a few hours. I keep telling myself, it won't always be this way. Just keep pushing through. But honestly, I don't know how much longer I can keep telling myself that. Every day feels like a series of small decisions where I'm constantly choosing between needs and wants. Do I eat out with my friends, or do I cook something at home and save that extra $20 for gas? Do I splurge on the new jeans I've been eyeing, or do I just wear the ones that have a hole in the seam? My priorities are so warped now, centered entirely around survival. I've stopped caring about things like having nice clothes or eating at trendy spots. What matters most is that I have enough to pay for the basics. The worst part is how the weight of all this affects my emotional well-being. Some days, I wake up and feel like I've been swallowed whole by the system that's designed to make me feel small. There's so much pressure to be successful by 25, but no one tells you that success is often an illusion. It's like we're all racing towards some invisible finish line that only a few of us can actually cross. Meanwhile, I'm stuck at the back of the pack, watching the others get ahead, and I can't help but wonder if I'll ever get there, or if the finish line is just a cruel joke. I've learned to cope by burying my dreams. They're not gone entirely, just postponed, hidden away for a later time, a time when I don't feel like I'm struggling just to keep my head above water. I used to dream of traveling the world, seeing new places, having a job that inspired me, being able to actually enjoy life without the constant anxiety. But now, my dreams feel out of reach, like they belong to someone else. I have to remind myself that they're not forgotten, just on hold. I tell myself that one day, I'll make it happen. But I wonder how much of me I'll have left when I finally get the chance to chase those dreams. I've also learned to cope by pretending that I'm fine. It's easier that way. I've become a master at pretending, smiling at work, laughing with friends, acting like everything is okay, even when it feels like my insides are slowly unraveling. People look at me and think I have it all together, but that's just what I want them to think. They don't know that every time I go to the grocery store, I calculate every item in my cart before I even reach the checkout line. They don't see the nights I spend on my computer, trying to figure out how to stretch my paycheck just a little further. Sometimes, I think about my future, what it could be like if I didn't have all these financial pressures holding me back. Maybe I'd be happier. Maybe I'd be free to make decisions based on what I truly want, not just what I can afford. I try to hold on to the idea that things will change, that this is just a phase. But deep down, I'm afraid it might not be. I'm afraid that the financial strain I feel now will follow me for years, always lurking in the background, shaping every choice I make. But I haven't given up yet. Not entirely. I still believe that if I keep working, keep pushing forward, something will give. That maybe, one day, I'll wake up and feel like I'm actually in control. Maybe then, the weight will lift. Maybe then, I'll feel like I've finally found the balance between surviving and living. For now, I keep going. I wake up, check my bank account, and start another day, hoping that somehow, some way, things will get better. Because, really, what else can I do? I can't give up on myself, not yet. But some days, it's hard to remember why I'm even fighting. I wake up to the sound of my phone buzzing, the screen lighting up with a notification from the bank. I know what it says before I even look at it. Low balance. Deposit required. It's been happening more and more lately, this constant reminder that no matter how hard I work, I'm always running behind. The early morning light pours in through the window, a soft reminder that the day has begun, whether I'm ready or not. I roll out of bed and sit on the edge, the coolness of the hardwood floor grounding me as I stare at my phone, trying to muster the energy to open my account and face the numbers. I know I should probably check my email, too, but it's always the same thing: bills, notices, late fees. The constant stream of things that demand more than I have to give. It's been months, maybe longer, since I felt like I had any breathing room. And it's not just one thing, it's everything. Rent is up again, my student loan payment never stops, and my car is always on the verge of breaking down. Even the little things, groceries, gas, toiletries, add up in a way that feels like a tidal wave, just one expense after another. I take a deep breath and open my bank app. My balance is so low I almost don't want to look at it, but I force myself to. The numbers blink back at me, unchanging, indifferent to the way my chest tightens. I stare at the screen for a long time, my thumb hovering over the transfer button that would move money from savings into checking. But there's barely enough savings to cover an emergency, let alone this month's rent. I don't know what I'm doing. I know I'm supposed to be saving for the future, building something bigger than this. I remember when I used to think about my someday. I imagined a house, a car that didn't break down every few months, maybe even a vacation once a year, normal things that I never thought would feel so out of reach. The future was supposed to be this place where everything would be okay, where the grind would lead to something real. But every day, that dream feels farther and farther away. I think about what people say when I talk about the pressure. Just get a side hustle, they tell me. It's all about hustle culture. But they don't get it. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And trust me, I'm doing both. I'm already doing everything I can. I juggle a full-time job that I'm grateful for, but that pays just enough to keep me in a constant state of survival. On top of that, I take freelance gigs when I can. Late nights, early mornings. The hours stretch out endlessly. I feel like a hamster running on a wheel, except the wheel just keeps getting bigger, faster, harder to keep up with. I try to remind myself that it's not forever. That it's just a phase, that one day I'll catch up. I used to believe in that, but now, it feels like a cruel joke. There's always another fee, another bill, another unexpected cost. Some days, I just feel stuck. Like no matter how much I try to climb, the walls are too high, and the ground keeps shifting under me. I know this isn't a unique struggle. I see it in the faces of my friends, hear it in their voices when we talk. We laugh about it sometimes, but it's not funny. It's a weight we all carry. I know I'm not the only one who lies awake at night, wondering how much longer they can keep up this fight. I'm not the only one who dreads checking the mail, who avoids looking at credit card statements, who wonders if they'll ever be able to afford the basics without sacrificing something else. I feel like I'm on the edge of a precipice, balancing between what I've got and what I need. Each day, the list of things I want, the things that used to seem so simple and attainable, grows longer. The things I could never have imagined being out of reach, traveling to a place I've always wanted to see, starting a savings account for my future, going to therapy without worrying about the cost, are all distant dreams now. I try to tell myself it's not forever. I keep thinking, once I get that promotion, things will be easier. Or, if I could just save a little more this month, maybe I could get ahead. But it's hard to hold on to hope when everything around you feels like it's slipping through your fingers. The worst part is that I can't stop comparing myself to others. I scroll through social media and see people living the lives I thought I'd be living by now. They're posting about vacations, new apartments, shiny new cars. They seem so carefree, like they have it all figured out. And I can't help but wonder, why don't I have that? Why can't I keep up? There's a quiet shame that comes with not being able to afford the life you imagined. Not because I think anyone's judging me, but because I feel like I'm failing somehow. I feel like I'm failing myself. So, I keep pushing forward. I don't really have a choice. But it's hard. It's hard to wake up every day with a weight pressing on my chest. It's hard to smile and pretend like everything is fine when it feels like I'm just one step away from falling apart. I cope in small ways. I've learned to get comfortable with discomfort. When the financial strain becomes too much, I take a walk. I step outside into the fresh air and let the world remind me that there's more to life than numbers on a screen. I've also learned to focus on the small victories, when I can pay off a bill, even if it's just a little at a time. When I find something I need at a discount. When I stretch my paycheck a little farther than I thought possible. I try to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can, that the struggle isn't my fault. But some days, it's hard to remember that. Some days, the pressure builds up until it feels like it might crush me. I used to dream of owning a home, of starting a family, of being financially secure enough to just breathe. Now, I try not to think about those dreams too much because they feel like fantasies, things that might never happen. I've postponed so much. My career plans, my personal goals, even the idea of taking a break for myself. All of it has to wait until I can afford it. I've had to learn to live in a state of constant patience, always waiting for the day when I can finally say, I made it. But here's the thing, I will make it. I don't know when. I don't know how. But I have to believe that one day, I'll find a way out of this cycle. I have to believe that the future is still out there, waiting for me, even if it feels like I'm always running to catch up. For now, I just take it day by day. One step forward, one bill at a time, one dream deferred. It's not easy, but it's all I can do. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. I don't know when exactly I started feeling it, this pressure, like the weight of the world is slowly squeezing the breath out of me, but it's been there for months now. Each day, a bit heavier. It's hard to pinpoint the exact moment, but I guess you could say it began with the rent increase. Or maybe it was when I had to give up on my dream of traveling abroad for a year, the one thing I had held on to for as long as I could. I used to think of it as something in the future, a goal I would get to. But now, it feels like a luxury, something impossible. I work 2 jobs. One is full-time, at a small tech company doing customer support, and the other is part-time, at a coffee shop nearby. Every morning, I wake up at 6:30 a.m., drag myself out of bed, and get ready for the office. I try to stay hopeful, but it feels like I'm just treading water. No matter how many hours I work, it's never enough. The bills keep coming, rent, utilities, credit card payments, and I can barely make a dent in what I owe. And then there's the food. That's always a struggle. I budget, I plan my meals, but it never feels like I can stretch my dollar far enough. I find myself skimping on groceries more often than I'd like to admit, eating the bare minimum just to get by. At the coffee shop, I feel like I'm invisible. The customers come in, get their drinks, and leave without a second thought. I try to be upbeat, to smile, but honestly, it's hard to pretend everything is okay when I feel like I'm drowning. And it's not just about the money. It's the exhaustion. My body aches from the long hours. I'm constantly tired. I can't remember the last time I felt rested, or like I had time for myself. Every moment I'm not at work feels like a chance to do something else, catch up on laundry, organize my apartment, or, more realistically, fall into bed for a few hours before I have to do it all over again. I've stopped thinking about the future in terms of dreams. I used to want to go back to school, maybe even get a master's degree in something I'm passionate about, like graphic design. But every time I look into it, the costs are so overwhelming that it feels silly to even entertain the idea. Loans? I already have some. Scholarships? I don't even know where to begin. The system is set up in a way where I feel like I'm trapped, working hard, but always behind. Even when I think I might get ahead, something new comes up. Last month, I had to pay for an unexpected medical bill, and then the car needed repairs, and suddenly, there goes my little buffer, my savings, gone. I'm terrified of getting sick. I think about it constantly, especially now with everything going on in the world. If I miss work for even a day, I lose out on money I can't afford to lose. That's a reality I've come to terms with. I can't afford to take sick days. I can't afford to take time off for anything, really. There are weeks when I push myself to the limit, when I can't even remember the last time I had a day where I didn't think about work or money. It's like everything is always in the back of my mind, even when I'm trying to enjoy a few moments of peace. I try not to talk about it with my friends. I'm sure they have their own financial struggles, but I hate burdening them with mine. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, or like I'm incapable of handling things. But sometimes, I wish someone would just ask me how I'm doing, really ask. And I don't even know what I would say if they did. How do you admit to someone that you're scared? How do you explain that you feel like you're losing ground every single day? That you feel stuck in a cycle that's moving too fast for you to catch up? I tell myself that things will get better. I tell myself that this is just a phase, that maybe I'll get a raise soon, or that a better opportunity will open up. But deep down, I'm not sure I believe it. I don't know how to escape this grind. Sometimes, it feels like the harder I work, the further I slip into the hole. The truth is, I feel resentful. Resentful of how the economy works, resentful of the fact that I have to hustle this hard just to survive, resentful of how it seems like the system rewards the people at the top and leaves people like me scrambling to stay afloat. The scariest part? I don't see a way out. Every time I look at my bank account, every time I see that negative balance, I feel like I'm suffocating. My paychecks seem to disappear before I can even count on them, and I know the next one will be just the same, too little, too late. I wonder what it's like for people who don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, or whether they'll make rent on time. People who can just take a day off and not stress about losing money. I don't even know what that feels like anymore. I used to have dreams. I used to imagine what life would look like if I wasn't constantly stressed about money. I would travel, I would spend a few months in a city I've always wanted to visit, or I'd take time to create something beautiful, something that didn't feel like it was driven by financial necessity. But now, all those dreams feel so far out of reach. They feel like things other people get to do, things that are meant for someone else. Some nights, I sit by the window in my small apartment and watch the world outside. People walk by, laughing, living their lives without any of the weight I carry. I wonder if they feel it too, if they know how fragile everything is. How close we all are to breaking. I wonder if I'll ever get to a point where I can breathe again, or if I'll always feel like I'm in a race I can't win. I try to stay hopeful. I tell myself that I'll keep pushing, that somehow, things will work out. But it's hard. So many days, I feel like I'm on the verge of giving up. There's a small part of me, though, that still holds on. A part of me that believes in better days, in the possibility that maybe, just maybe, things will change. But until then, I keep going. One day at a time. Trying to stay afloat, hoping that someday, it'll all make sense. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos. Also, leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.